Elliot was supposed to come back tomorrow. I knew I had one more day to prepare for his return. His trips always gave me a bit of alone time, and I used this time for relaxation and reflection. But this evening, things did not go as I had planned. Elliot decided to surprise me. He finished his business trip earlier than expected, and after some efforts to change his tickets, he managed to find a flight home a day early. He felt excitement and joy, anticipating my reaction. Elliot arrived at the small regional airport in the evening. The fatigue from the flight was noticeable, but the thought of seeing me soon lifted his spirits. Renting a car, he headed home, imagining our reunion and how he would tell me about his unexpected return. When Elliot finally drove up to the house, it was already dark outside. He noticed that the house looked empty and quiet. My car was not in its usual spot. Elliot frowned, trying to figure out where I could be. He grabbed his suitcase and headed to the front door. Entering the house, Elliot felt a strange emptiness. There were no signs of life inside, and only silence answered his steps. He walked through the rooms, checking each one, but I was nowhere to be found. Maybe she went out for errands? He thought, trying to calm himself. Elliot sat down on the couch in the living room, pondering the situation. He looked at the clock and realized that it was already late. Where could she be? He wondered, but decided not to panic and wait for my return. Elliot called me when I wasn't home. Jason and I were in one of the most passionate moments, and when the phone rang, I saw Elliot's name on the screen. My heart skipped a beat. For a few seconds, I couldn't bring myself to answer, and in that silence, Elliot probably heard sounds I didn't manage to suppress. The moans and slaps of our bodies in the throes of passion were too clear. Jason didn't stop because he didn't know I had already picked up. When I finally answered, my head was full of thoughts on how to explain my absence. "I was sleeping," I said, trying to make my voice sound confident and calm. "Just woke up from the call." But Elliot had already started to suspect something. He clearly didn't believe my explanation, but decided not to continue the conversation to avoid revealing his sudden return. I realized that he might suspect something, so I decided to act cautiously. Early in the morning, as Jason and I were returning home, I thought Elliot was still on his business trip. Jason was driving, helping me with some errands, and we thought it would be faster this way. We pulled up to the house, and I didn't suspect anything unusual. We got out of the car, and I tried to act as naturally as possible. Deep down, I knew a difficult conversation with Elliot awaited me when he returned, but I tried not to think about it yet. We entered the house, preparing to spend another morning together, enjoying each other's company while Elliot was on his trip. I returned home with Jason, confident that Elliot was still on his business trip, and we could spend the morning together. I had no idea that Elliot had already come back and was watching us. Hidden in the wardrobe, Elliot had set up a hidden camera in the bedroom beforehand to record everything that happened. He wanted to get evidence and understand what was going on when he wasn't around. When Jason and I entered the bedroom, I told him that I needed to change and would be back in a few minutes. Jason, with a smile on his face, replied, "I'll help you, and then we can make love again." We exchanged looks full of hints about our past romantic encounters. Jason stepped closer and began to slowly remove my clothes. His hands were confident and firm, gliding over my skin and leaving a trail of heat behind. When he took off my blouse, his lips gently touched my shoulder, sending shivers down my spine. I closed my eyes and allowed myself to enjoy the moment. Conversations ceased, and our bodies began to speak for us. Jason, standing behind me, slowly pressed me against the wardrobe. His hands wrapped around my waist, pulling me closer, and I felt his breath growing heavier. He started thrusting me from behind, gradually increasing the force and rhythm. Each thrust echoed through my body, shaking the wardrobe and hitting the door behind which Elliot was hiding. In a fit of passion, Jason pressed me even harder. His fingers dug into my skin, leaving no space between our bodies. Laughing, he jokingly said, "Imagine if Elliot was in this wardrobe while I'm behind you." We both laughed, unaware that Elliot was indeed behind the door, hearing every word. After the joke, Jason grabbed my hips even tighter, his fingers digging into my skin, and began thrusting even more intensely. He slapped my buttocks, creating loud sounds that echoed through the room. There was not a millimeter of space between our bodies as Jason fully immersed himself in me. Those moments were so intense and filled with passion that I completely drowned in them. The only thing that mattered was Jason and how he made me feel. Meanwhile, Elliot, watching us from the wardrobe, was trying to process what he was seeing and hearing, feeling his world collapse. After the intense morning moment, Jason and I lay down on the bed, catching our breath and enjoying the silence. My thoughts began to wander, and I decided to discuss our plans for the evening. "What do you think about having dinner together tonight?" I asked, smiling slightly. Jason, lying beside me, nodded. "That's a great idea. We can go to our favorite restaurant or order something in and enjoy a quiet evening together." I looked at him and, feeling a bit anxious, asked the question that was bothering me. "What if Elliot comes back early? He could ruin everything." Jason, still confident, hugged me tighter and replied, "Don't worry. I'm sure he'll come back when he planned to. He always lets you know if his plans change. We have plenty of time to spend together." His confidence reassured me a little. We continued discussing our evening plans while his hands gently glided over my skin. Each of his touches was filled with warmth and passion, which I loved so much. We exchanged kisses, demonstrating our deep, intimate connection. These moments were especially precious to us because we could be ourselves, without hiding our feelings. I closed my eyes, enjoying the feeling of his lips on my skin. We spent some more time like that, savoring each other before finally getting up and starting to prepare for our evening. We knew these moments were rare and valuable, and we tried to enjoy each of them without thinking about what lay ahead. After the intense morning moment, Jason and I lay down on the bed, catching our breath and enjoying the silence. My thoughts began to wander, and I decided to discuss our plans for the evening. "What do you think about having dinner together tonight?" I asked, smiling slightly. Jason, lying beside me, nodded. "That's a great idea. We can go to our favorite restaurant or order something in and enjoy a quiet evening together." I looked at him and, feeling a bit anxious, asked the question that was bothering me. "What if Elliot comes back early? He could ruin everything." Jason, still confident, hugged me tighter and replied, "Don't worry. I'm sure he'll come back when he planned to. He always lets you know if his plans change. We have plenty of time to spend together." His confidence reassured me a little. We continued discussing our evening plans while his hands gently glided over my skin. Each of his touches was filled with warmth and passion, which I loved so much. We exchanged kisses, demonstrating our deep, intimate connection. These moments were especially precious to us because we could be ourselves, without hiding our feelings. I closed my eyes, enjoying the feeling of his lips on my skin. We spent some more time like that, savoring each other, before finally getting up and starting to prepare for our evening. We knew these moments were rare and valuable, and we tried to enjoy each of them without thinking about what lay ahead. Meanwhile, Elliot, hidden in the wardrobe, was recording every moment on camera. He saw and heard everything that was happening between us. His heart was filled with rage, and he could barely contain himself from bursting out and tearing us apart. But the thought of his perfect revenge plan held him back. Elliot knew he needed to act coldly and deliberately to make his revenge flawless. When Jason and I left the house, I felt a strange sense of relief. We had spent time together, and I wanted to return to my normal life while Elliot was on his business trip. But unexpectedly, my phone rang. Elliot's name appeared on the screen. My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly answered the call. "Katie, I'm on my way home. My trip ended earlier than expected," he said. There was tension in his voice, but I attributed it to the fatigue from the journey. "Really? That's wonderful. I'm so happy to see you," I replied, trying to sound genuinely joyful. Elliot seemed to notice my emotions, but didn't comment on them. "Yeah, I missed you too. I'll be home in a few hours." That call reassured me. Jason and I had managed to leave before his return, and now I could calmly head home to meet Elliot. I said goodbye to Jason and drove home, unaware that Elliot was already there and had seen everything. When I arrived home, Elliot had already begun to act. He knew that a simple confrontation or scandal wouldn't be enough. He wanted to publicly expose me and Jason so everyone could see our betrayal. Thus, the idea of a surprise party was born. First, Elliot began calling friends and family. He explained that he was planning a party to celebrate my promotion at work. Everyone invited was happy for me and eagerly agreed to come. Elliot made sure to sound as sincere as possible so that no one would suspect anything. Next, he contacted Lauren, Jason's wife. Her invitation was particularly important as she needed to witness the exposure of her husband. Elliot called her, using a friendly and cheerful tone, and told her that he wanted to invite her and Jason to a surprise party. Lauren was thrilled and gladly accepted the invitation, unaware of what was to come. Elliot thought through every detail. He ordered food and drinks, arranged for everything to be delivered directly to our home. He wanted everything to look perfect so that none of the guests would suspect the true purpose behind the celebration. Over the next few days, Elliot continued to prepare for the party. He set up hidden cameras in various corners of the house to capture the moment of exposure. His plan was simple: gather everyone in one place and show the video he recorded in the wardrobe. This was to be the climax of the evening and his perfect revenge. When everything was ready, Elliot began the countdown to the evening of the revelation. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but his determination was unwavering. He was prepared to go to any lengths to punish us for our betrayal and restore his honor. When I returned from work, I immediately noticed an unusual number of cars parked near our house. Surprise turned to joy as I walked in and heard a loud, "Surprise!" All my friends and family were there, smiling and congratulating me. Elliot approached me with a glass of wine, looking unusually pleased. "What's going on?" I asked, slightly embarrassed. "We decided to throw a party to celebrate your promotion," Elliot replied, hugging me. "You deserve it." I smiled, feeling all the day's tension melt away. The party began, and I mingled with the guests, accepting congratulations and compliments. Everything seemed perfect, and I couldn't have been happier. After a while, I noticed that Jason and Lauren had also arrived. They stood together, seemingly in good spirits. I suspected nothing and continued to enjoy the evening. "Dear friends," Elliot began, drawing everyone's attention. "I want to thank you all for coming today. This is an important day for Katie, and I'm glad you're all here to support her." Everyone applauded, and I felt incredibly important and loved. But then Elliot suggested something unexpected. "Now, I would like to invite you all to watch a short film," he continued. "It's a surprise for Katie that I prepared in honor of her achievement." We all headed to the home theater. I sat in a comfortable chair, expecting to see something pleasant and inspiring. But as soon as the video started, I realized that something was wrong. The screen showed footage from our bedroom. I saw myself and Jason in moments of passion that we shared in Elliot's absence. The guests' expressions instantly changed, and I felt my face flush. The room was filled with tense silence, broken only by the sounds from the video. I turned to Elliot, who stood in the corner, watching my reaction. In his eyes, I saw cold determination and glee. He didn't take his eyes off me, savoring every moment of my humiliation. Jason sat next to Lauren, his face pale. He tried to say something, but the words stuck in his throat. The guests were in shock, some of them whispering to each other, while others simply watched in silence. When the video ended, Elliot stepped forward. "Now you all know the truth," he said, his voice filled with anger and resentment. "I wanted you all to see who Katie really is." I didn't know what to say or how to justify myself. My heart was broken, and I felt my world collapsing around me. Elliot had achieved his goal, and his revenge was complete. When the video ended, the room fell into dead silence. I couldn't believe my eyes. The moment of my betrayal had been captured, and now all my friends and family had seen it. I felt my world collapsing around me. Lauren was the first to break the silence. Her face was white as she approached Jason, rage evident in every movement. "How could you? What is this filth?" she screamed, unable to hold back her emotions. Jason tried to respond, but Lauren didn't give him a chance. "You've ruined everything. How could you do this to me?" Jason, in a panic, began to back away toward the exit, trying to escape from Lauren's fury and the judging eyes of the guests. But Elliot, anticipating such a reaction, had already warned his friends. A few men standing by the door blocked Jason's way. He was forced to stop, realizing there was no escape. I couldn't take it anymore. Horror, shame, and fear overwhelmed me. The world around me began to blur, and I felt myself losing consciousness. The last thing I remembered was the guests' faces, filled with condemnation and shock, and then darkness. The guests began discussing what had happened, whispering to each other and exchanging opinions. Some couldn't believe what they had seen. Others expressed their indignation loudly. "How could she do this?" one friend said. "I never thought Katie was capable of this," added another guest. Elliot stood aside, watching what was happening. Satisfaction was evident in his eyes as his plan had succeeded. He slowly approached my fallen body and started calling for an ambulance. Despite his anger and resentment, he knew that help was necessary. Lauren continued her tirade, not giving Jason a chance to justify himself. "You're a disgrace," she yelled. "I don't want to see you in my life anymore." Meanwhile, the men blocking Jason's way held him in place, preventing him from leaving. Everyone knew that this was just the beginning of the consequences that awaited them. When I regained consciousness, reality hit me with a crushing force. I was in our living room, surrounded by silence and cold. Elliot sat across from me, his gaze cold and determined. We had to discuss the future of our marriage, and I knew it would be a difficult conversation. "Katie, we need to talk," he began, his voice firm and uncompromising. "You know that after everything that happened, our marriage is no longer possible." I tried to justify myself, tears streaming down my cheeks. "Elliot, I made a terrible mistake. I don't know how it happened, but I still love you. We can try to fix this." He interrupted me, raising his hand. "No, Katie, we've gone too far. What you did destroyed our trust forever. I can't and don't want to continue living with you after this." His words hit me like a knife. I knew he was right, but part of me still hoped for forgiveness. "What happens next?" I asked, realizing that we had many issues to resolve. "We're getting a divorce," Elliot said resolutely. "I've already spoken with a lawyer and prepared the papers. We'll split the assets equally, and I'll try to make this process as painless as possible for both of us." I nodded, trying to hold back my tears. "Okay, I agree to the divorce, but please don't make it too cruel." Elliot sighed, his gaze softening for a moment. "I don't want to hurt you anymore, Katie. I just want to move on and forget about this. We'll split the house and finances equally. You can take your things and start a new life." We discussed the details of the divorce and the division of assets. It was painful but necessary. Every step of this process reminded me of my mistake and what I had lost. Elliot was determined, and I understood that no excuses would change his decision. At the end of our conversation, I felt broken and empty. But I knew it was my fault, and I had to live with the consequences of my actions. Elliot stood up and, without looking back, left the room, leaving me in silence. It had been several months since Elliot and I started the divorce process. Each day brought new challenges and pain, but also a sense of liberation from the past. When all the legal formalities were finally completed, Elliot felt a tremendous weight lift off his shoulders. Now he was free. This freedom brought with it a sense of relief and a new outlook on life. Elliot could finally start living for himself, making his own plans and dreaming of a future without looking back. He began with small steps, rearranging the house, picking up new hobbies, meeting up with friends he hadn't seen in a long time. Reconnecting with old friends brought him much joy and helped distract him from what he had been through. Elliot started exercising, spending more time outdoors, and traveling. Every morning, he woke up with a sense of renewal and the possibilities that lay ahead. He began planning a trip to Europe to see places he had long dreamed of. This thought filled him with enthusiasm and anticipation for new adventures. Elliot enjoyed every moment of his new life. He felt that he had finally found the freedom and independence he had longed for. Each new acquaintance and experience brought him joy and satisfaction. Sometimes in the evenings, he would reflect on the past and how his path had changed. He understood that the divorce was a necessary step towards finding happiness and harmony. Elliot felt satisfaction with his decision and realized he had made the right choice. Now his life was filled with light and hope. He looked to the future with confidence and joy, knowing that new horizons and adventures awaited him. Elliot felt that he had begun a new, vibrant chapter of his life, full of opportunities and joy.